Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name's Chelsea. You know that, I know that, and I'm just a lady with a bulldog, a camera, and too many opinions. And when you are someone who has a lot of opinions and somehow manages to turn that into a career, or just anyone who works in the online commentary space, you learn pretty quickly a lot of things that you probably never thought you would have to become pretty well versed in, like defamation, copyright law, trademark infringement, wiretapping laws, fair use, privacy off and on different platforms, and of course, the First Amendment. When your entire job is analyzing and critiquing people, other people who put themselves out there online, or maybe not by their own doing necessarily, have become public figures or even limited public figures, you're constantly walking a tightrope between fair commentary and crossing a line. But every so often, a content creator comes along and potentially forgets that those very important principles do apply to them as well. And when you put yourself online and you are creating commentary on other people's lives and monetizing that commentary, you do lose a sense of privacy. To put it simply, if you are going to dish it out, you need to be able to take it. And that's why today we are talking about Lauren from Hidden True Crime.
A civil stalking injunction.
After years of dissecting other people's court cases, Lauren decided to get ahead of someone doing that to her by doing a 9-hour live stream, which was quite the emotional marathon, where she claimed that she was being stalked and harassed and that it's destroying her life and her child's peace.
In fact, it's so real life what has been going on with my family and with me for months that I decided to go to where I felt would protect me.
But if we're actually to look through said court documents, which I have read through all of them from all sides, we can actually see that it's not stalking or harassment what she's putting forth. It seems as though, in my opinion, that it's just someone talking about her on the internet like she does every day. So today we're going to dive into the hypocrisy, performative victimhood, and overall PR nightmare that was Hidden True Crime's 9-hour live stream. And we're going to go over what led up to it as well. So we're going to be going through body cam footage. We're going to be diving into the court documents as well. We are not going to be watching a 9-hour live stream. Don't you worry. It's way too long. But we are going to go through clips of it, since I do have this information dictated out and I have notes on it so that you don't have to go watch that. If you want to, still go for it, please. But I find this truly fascinating and exceptionally hypocritical. And I'll tell you what, if there's one thing a PR crisis needs, it's a 9-hour live stream.
I'm going to do a 9-hour live. I'm going to be like Lauren Matthias from Hidden True Crime. And I am going to do a 9-hour live because I have had a cyber stalker injunction.
My first reaction to that was, yeah, I ain't watching that. You lost me, girl. But I did, unfortunately, for me, because I truly don't think that I could make this video and be able to form a very educated opinion about all of this unless I watched not only the 9-hour live stream and took notes, but then also went through all of the court documents and went through all of the TikTok videos prior to these court proceedings that were made by the respondent in this case. Respondent, defendant, whatever, same thing. Kind of. Now, prior to watching all of this and actually going through the court documents, I only really had cliff notes of certain things that other commentary creators, not only in the true crime space, but in the social media commentary space like I am in, I really only had like their cliff notes to go off of. But it was very interesting to see how split people seemed regarding this situation and their support or lack of support for it across the internet. And we're going to get into that in a second. But first and foremost, who is Lauren Matthias of Hidden True Crime? Hidden True Crime is an independent media network that operates primarily on YouTube and covers and provides commentary and analysis on present-day true crime cases and court proceedings associated with those cases. HTC, as many people refer to it as, is run by Lauren Matthias and her husband, who is a forensic psychologist. Their YouTube channel has over 300,000 subscribers, and their channel description reads, "Hidden True Crime is criminal psychology reinvented. We are a forensic psychologist and journalist who are husband and wife, delving into the psychological facets of unthinkable crimes. Now, an ex-friend of Lauren Matthias created a TikTok account in May-ish, June-ish of this year and started making videos on TikTok about her relationship and past experiences with Lauren Matthias. Now, that TikTok account, before all of this situation became quite public, had less than 500 followers, less than 500. And since then, at the time of writing this part of my script, which was done last week, I believe, she had less than 2,000. So still has not blown up that much. And now to continue with our little Cliff Notes version of what has happened. Lauren went live on their Hidden True Crime channel and said that she has a stalker. It's affecting her life so much. She was getting a restraining order against this person. She showed some evidence and did this for 9 hours, as we've said a bunch of times. She also said that she got a temporary restraining order against this person, which is pretty normal when you're trying to get a full restraining order against someone. And after her 9-hour live stream, of course, a lot of other commentary creators, reaction channels, whoever, started making videos commentating on the situation. There have been allegations that Lauren Matthias of Hidden True Crime was submitting copyright claims on those videos, which is very interesting because that adds another level of hypocrisy with this. Commentary is protected under copyright law as fair use, which you would think that Lauren Matthias knows, being a commentary content creator and someone who has had a prior, quite professional mainstream media job as a journalist before doing this. Now, Lauren says that the reason why she did this live stream and was talking about this herself was because during these court proceedings, there was a request for a very well-known true crime media outlet YouTube channel, Law and Crime, a request from them for basically them sitting in the courtroom and being able to have press or media privileges with that and being able to report on it.
They thought that my family's pain should be live streamed on their trial channel.
Now, I'm paraphrasing here, but Lauren said that she didn't want that trauma exploited by Law and Crime, so then she dropped the case. Do we see the hypocrisy and irony there? Now, like I said, the internet was pretty divided in this from what I was seeing. So to try to figure out where that potential gap was in terms of people are being in support of her or they are not, I wanted to figure out what people thought about it without me giving them more information. So basically their opinion on it with the information they have right now. So I asked on my Instagram story, I said, give me your opinion on the Hidden True Crime situation. And I, of course, said I'm not going to provide a synopsis of what happened because I truly want to see people's understanding of the situation without being influenced by my opinions or my understanding of it. And I thought that this was a really good example. And almost everyone who responded had this same take on it. And this person said, on the one hand, I want to give Hidden True Crime the benefit of the doubt because I can imagine that being a woman on the internet and also covering true crime cases, she gets a lot of messages. However, a 9-hour stream is unhinged, especially after I listened to the available court audio and it sounded like the judge slapped her down. Then she did another 3-hour live stream about it. To me, 12 hours of streaming sounded like trying to spin a story. And your child should not know the details about an online stalker. If he does, that is on you as a parent. If Hidden True Crime's version of events is accurate, I'm really sorry for her that she is going through that. But then why not follow through with the restraining order? If she is so afraid, why did she leave court and not do that? And it says also, I think it's extremely hypocritical that she is angry about court TV covering her case when that is just what they do and what she does. You cover court cases on YouTube, lady, and now you are angry that people are covering your case and you talk about other people, but no one can talk about you. And then here is an example from the Reddit page, True Crime Podcasts. And this one is on the opposite end of the spectrum. The stalker is Christina on TikTok, and her entire feed consists of only bullying, crazed, veiled threats aimed at Lauren. That's it. She only posts junior high mean girl crap about Lauren, of whom she was friends with for a year or less. Can you imagine a grown woman with kids spending her time posting only about a person that hurt her feelings? Her goal is to spread awareness. WTF, she's manic, unhinged. I'd be fearful too. Happy, stable people don't don't ever do this kind of ish. Ever, ever, ever. By the way, she says be kind to everyone often as she's posting disturbing content about one person. It's beyond crazy. This chick needs help. Lauren is right to watch out for this disturbed chick. And in response to that, another user said, agreed, this behavior is wild and way beyond normal. I don't care who hurt her feelings. This person is fixated to be so obsessive that you violate a no contact order multiple times, create and run social media accounts that you post to daily, and have the audacity to reach out to professional contacts. It seems more serious than someone who's just immature, butthurt, and has a little bit too much time on their hands. It seems like this person has some serious mental health issues that could make her dangerous to herself or others. Now, per usual, it seems like the potential gap between those very differing opinions there is lack of information. So we're going to put out all the information. We're going to go through everything in the order of which it happened, with receipts, with video clips, with court documents. Y'all know I love court documents, courtroom audio, etc. And also going through and comparing the statements and declarations from multiple parties in timeline format. I was trying to figure out the best way to do this, but when I was looking through everything, I felt like I kept having to go back in time. So I really think being able to do this in a timeline format is going to be more comprehensive for you, the viewer. But also, yes, this did take a long time. So please, for the love of God, like and subscribe and comment. Please do. At first, the clues don't seem to be connected. Medical bills, debt, a fee here or there. But when you step back, the pattern is clear. Listen, I might not be a detective or even a true crime YouTuber, okay? I just happen to wear a mustache on my YouTube channel sometimes. I know, hi, it's me. But what I do know is that debt is the suspect hiding in plain sight. And it doesn't just kick down the door. It follows you like a shadow. And just when you think you are safe, it strikes. The evidence is everywhere, girl. I see it. The locked accounts, wages gone, futures written. PDS debt has already helped hundreds of thousands of people escape, and they can help you too. So whether you're struggling with personal loans, credit card debt, medical bills, PDS Debt has custom options to help you get out of debt. They go beyond the numbers to understand your unique situation. It's not just cookie cutter plans here, and there's no minimum credit score required. So they help you save more and pay off your debt faster. So you can start putting your money back where it belongs, which is in your pocket. So don't wait for debt to make the next move. You are 30 seconds away from being out of debt. All you have to do is go to pdsdebt.com/Suarez and take their free assessment. It's super quick, only takes about 30 seconds, and they'll help find the best option for you. That is pdsdebt.com/Suarez to take their free assessment. Now, I don't know if I'm going to have the editors leave it in, but when I was first going through all of this, I was like, all right, so maybe I just go through every single little part and every document and blah, blah. But I really feel like the truth is just going to be lost in that. And I feel as though Lauren is using that to her advantage, potentially. I don't know. Anyways, let's go through a quick breakdown. Okay. So at the beginning of the year, in both of their statements, they had referenced that there was a natural drift, so to speak, of their relationship. But one thing that I want to focus on is the claims that are being made, what is actually being done. And then from there, also what Lauren is putting out there and what she is showing as evidence, because you would think that if someone was showing or trying to get a restraining order against someone for bullying, harassment, all that they would show every little thing, right? Every little thing to make sure that this goes through, instead of referencing a trending song that someone used in a TikTok video. Now, per Christina's declaration, she says that she met Lauren Matthias in April 2024. She says that they communicated regularly for several months and even became friends. Around the same time, Christina also became friends with women who were already friends with Lauren for the year prior. And their names are Lindsay and Lori. And then there was another friend named Janice. In Christina's declaration, she goes on to state that she communicated and traveled with Lauren to events from April 2024 to winter 2024. And she also says that Lauren had invited her to her home while Christina was on a work trip in Las Vegas. And then also Lauren invited Christina and her family to her home to swim in her pool while they were driving from Utah to California. By January 2025, her friendship with Lauren began to fade and they talked less frequently. Christina had done some graphic design work for Lauren and her husband's businesses at a discounted price and sent Lauren a final invoice in March of 2025. She says that at that point, they were no longer communicating as friends. On April 9th, 2025, Christina states that she saw Lauren at the courthouse in Maricopa County, Arizona. Lauren ran towards her with her arms waving in the air and signaling that she wanted a hug. And they hugged, and Christina claims that she stated to Lauren that she had read some negative statements that Lauren had made about Christina and about other people that they were both friends with. Lauren said that she wanted to talk about it right then and there, since her assistant was not at her side, and she allegedly acknowledged that some of the negative statements that Christina said were true, and she admitted to them and justified them. And then Christina admits that she recorded the conversation with Lauren, since Lauren does not always accurately represent verbal conversations. Christina continues in her declaration to explain that Lauren Matthias exchanged several texts with her regarding accusations and demands, and says that Lauren blocked her and unblocked her multiple times, and says that Lauren's last text to her was on April 22nd, and says that Lauren demanded that Christina refrain from speaking about her publicly. On June 5th, Christina traveled to Arizona to attend a portion of the Lori Daybell trial. While seated between two friends in the waiting area, she saw Lauren wave at her, and Christina claims that she ignored her and did not respond, and says that this is another example of Lauren initiating contact with her, not the other way around. Lauren's assistant called Christina twice on June 10th, 2025, and then followed that up by sending a lengthy text saying that she felt sad and wanted to have a private conversation, to which Christina did not respond. Christina continues in her declaration to describe and detail different instances where she discovered how Lauren was behaving towards their mutual friends. And that includes sending cease and desists on April 11th to one of their friends. Christina also points out that regarding the incident at a restaurant in Boise at Bitter Creek Ale House, that she was not even in the country when that event occurred. However, Lauren still included this in her declaration. Now, what she's referring to is a situation where in Boise, for some, I want to say like some true crime event, but it was for a trial, I assume. Lauren Matthias was there with her assistant or someone, and she was sitting at a table, and there's literally recordings of this. They're like crying at the table, saying that like they're scared and that someone is going to like physically assault them. And listen, if someone's scared of someone, okay, but like it just seems strange. None of these women seem like they would get physical over something. Obviously I don't know them, but it's just not the vibe that I get from them, but still. So Lauren includes this instance in her declaration, and it truly doesn't really make any sense. Even if we look at the police report from said incident, the responding officer even says in that report that there wasn't any like aggressive behavior in these videos that Lauren was like providing for evidence, which is it's just weird. It's like, y'all were at the same place. Calm down. Now, what Lauren is saying or claiming as harassment and cyber stalking and things like that is Christina's TikTok videos. That it really is most of her evidence, and we'll go through that in a minute. But let's first look at some of Christina's TikTok videos. Actually, let's just have her tell a story time, basically, because that really is what she's doing in these first 3 TikToks that I came across. These were all posted in the middle of July this year. So there's a part 1, part 2, and a part 3. Now, let me be clear. I have watched every single one of Christina's TikTok videos. And as a content creator, a YouTuber myself, a public figure, in my opinion, it's not cyber stalking. It's just not. This is a woman, again, in my opinion, this is a woman just sharing her experience, just sharing her story, sharing her grievances online about a public figure, which she's allowed to do. Also, in nearly all of these TikTok videos, she does not state Lauren's name at all. So just because it hurts your feelings doesn't mean it's bullying. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's cyber stalking, doesn't mean it's harassment. Just because it's annoying doesn't mean it's any of those things.
I had suspicions for months, but it took me way too long to realize that almost everything this ex-friend told me was a lie. She had friends who ended their friendship with her 2 months into the start of my friendship with her. Afterwards, she would casually say things like, "Man, if my text messages between them were ever released, that would be bad." But you know how we all view things through our own lens? I brushed it off. I'd laugh and say, "Oh, girl, I'm sure you have nothing to worry about." But here's the thing. What was she actually worried about? That involved other people. And until they're ready to share their side, I'm going to leave that part alone for now. Just know It was really bad. That was my final straw. The red flags had been stacking up for months, but this confirmed everything. I knew I didn't want that energy or that type of friend in my life. So I decided next time I saw her in person, I'd confront her. And when that moment finally came, what happened next? I've truly never experienced anything like it. I gave her a hug and I said, I now know why you're so worried about the text messages between you and your ex-friends. They are way worse than anything I could have ever imagined. I was rooting for you and you were talking about me, but she wanted to talk about it, and that's a story for another day. So like I said, she wanted to talk then, which totally caught me off guard, but I thought, okay, fine, let's see what she has to say. It was like watching someone trapped in their own maze of lies, spinning stories so fast she couldn't even keep up with herself. When one lie didn't land, she'd just pivot mid-sentence into a completely different one, like no shame, just constant spinning. And at one point she literally started mumbling under her breath, having an entire conversation by herself while I was just standing there.
Yeah, because and by the way, that started, they were, like, and I was like, would they do that to me? Anyway. Yeah, no, I know. So in many ways, I feel catfish, but
and then in 1 second, she snapped and was like, oh, sorry, back to you.
Back to you.
And this is the part that killed me. She told me that we had to have that conversation right now because I kept repeating, you're in fight, flight, or freeze. Probably not the best time to talk. But she said, no, we have to talk now. My assistant is, quote, always with me. I'm never alone, unquote. Girl, no. I honestly think she just didn't want her assistant finding out what she'd done.
Now, after a summer of Christina posting videos on TikTok all about her experience with said ex-friend, as she would refer to her as, which that's valid, go off, girl. And keep in mind, those weren't getting much engagement at all. And when I say not much engagement, I mean like none, which, okay, that's an irrelevant aspect of this, kind of, not trying to invalidate her. I'm just saying that prior to Lauren talking about this, nearly nobody, like less than 200 people, were watching Christina's videos. So truly, this is a great example of the Streisand effect, which we'll go into in a bit as well. Now, on August 28th, 2025, Lauren Matthias filed a request for a civil stalking injunction, which depends on what jurisdiction you're in, but injunction would be restraining order. Now, many people seem to be confused on how injunctions and all that work. So there have been people who were like, oh, well, clearly she is telling the truth because otherwise she wouldn't be able to get a temporary restraining order approved or, it wouldn't be granted. That's literally the point of a TRO, of a temporary restraining order, is that you're going through the motions of these proceedings and trying to get an evidentiary hearing to, get everything solidified. So in the meantime, yeah, the TRO is going to be approved. Like, it takes next to nothing to get those approved, unfortunately. But then also fortunately, right? I mean, there's a good and bad side with that. So it really does seem like for a fan base that really likes true crime content, some of y'all don't know what the hell you're talking about. It is concerning, honestly. This entire thing's concerning, but it's concerning. For instance, let's read this off of the internet, all right? Temporary injunctions, particularly temporary restraining orders, TROs, can be approved quickly before a full evidentiary hearing because they are meant to prevent immediate and irreparable harm. A full hearing with all evidence can take weeks or months to arrange, and judges can issue a short-term ex parte order to protect a party from urgent danger in the meantime. Urgent danger? You mean TikTok videos? For those of you who know a good amount about the most unhinged, in my opinion, TikTok lawyer out there, Jeanette Braun of Braun IP Law, Janet versus the girlies, all that, right? When hearing about this and figuring out like, okay, well, Lauren, what did she do? My God, what is it with Lauren's, right? It's like, it was giving the big energy of Jeanette Braun talking to a dispatcher and being like, well, she's on Reddit. She's making TikTok videos. It's like, oh no, someone's making TikTok videos about you. Oh no. I don't want to be insensitive. Like, yeah, that can suck. But like, also as a content creator myself, cry about it. Like, let's move on. Good God. Streisand effect. Let me tell you, there's a bunch of people that make YouTube videos about me, and not even just YouTube, TikTok and whatever, but it's like, who cares? Focus on your job. If they're not actually scaring you, which I really don't think that this person was actually scaring her, again, that's just in my own opinion and my understanding and interpretation and analysis of the situation. But like, holy crap, it's someone going over the experience and their relationship with you. We'll get in, we'll dissect more of my opinions on it later. I'm sorry. It's so frustrating, like as a commentary content creator myself. And it's so hypocritical, extremely hypocritical. Now, you would think that if you were trying to get a restraining order against someone due to cyber stalking and harassment, you would provide every bit of correspondence, incessant communication, actual threats directed at you, and every glimpse of a screenshot, every video, anything possible to the courts to be able to get that restraining order past the point of just a temporary injunction, right? So that leads me to believe that it doesn't exist if it wasn't presented, right? But lucky for me, we have access to all of these court documents because, of course, in the US, these types of documents are for the public, which is interesting that apparently she wanted to stop that from happening. But it's like, again, Streisand effect. Let's just go ahead and take a little detour and go over what the Streisand effect is. The Streisand effect describes a situation where an attempt to hide, remove, or censor information results in the unintended consequence of the effort, instead increasing public awareness of the information. The term was coined in 2005 by Mike Masnick after Barbra Streisand attempted to suppress the publication of a photograph by Kenneth Aldman showing her clifftop residence in Malibu, taken to document coastal erosion in California. In 2003, the American singer and actress Barbra Streisand sued the photographer Kenneth Aldman and Pictopia.com for $50 million for violation of privacy. The lawsuit sought to remove image 3850, an aerial photograph in which Streisand's mansion was visible from the publicly available California Coastal Records Project of 12,000 California coastline photographs, as the project's goal was to document coastal erosion to influence government policymakers. Privacy concerns of homeowners were deemed to be of minor or no importance. The lawsuit was dismissed and Streisand was ordered to pay Alderman's $177,000 legal fees. Image 3850 had been downloaded only 6 times prior to Streisand's lawsuit, 2 of those being by her attorneys. Public awareness of the case led to more than 420,000 people visiting the site over the following month. So let's go ahead and go over some of Lauren's declarations. Now, number 12 here on her declaration says, later that night, I received a threatening voicemail from someone named Liz. And number 13 here, it says, she brought up the fact that I said I didn't know who she was, which was something I told Christina during our conversation. Now let's just listen to the voicemail.
Hey Lauren, it's Liz. Let me remind you, Liz, I know you don't recall my name, but I actually think you do recall my name. But I'd like to talk to you for a second. I'd like to talk to you about, number one, I guess, why you don't remember my name. But number 2, I'd like to talk to you about why you are so upset about texts that you have sent to me in group chats about other people. I'm sure it's hard to admit that you have said those things about those people, but I want to clear it up with you. So I would appreciate if you would call me back. I'm not trying to be threatening or anything. I would truly like to clarify maybe where I'm missing something.
Now, Lauren says that was a threatening voicemail. The person literally said that they are not threatening her. And I understand how even if someone says like, I'm not threatening you, even if someone says that, you can absolutely still feel threatened. But in my opinion, that sounds like a drunk older lady who's leaving a voicemail and wanting to have a conversation. It sounds like someone had 3 glasses of wine and was feeling a little bit ballsy and was like, you know what? I'm going to call her. That's what it sounds like. Does not sound threatening at all. Oh, Lord. I'll tell you what, Lauren Matthias, you should not be a YouTuber. You can't handle it, girl. It's embarrassing. And then point 15 here, it says, a couple of days later, I sent a Reddit comment that was made by Christina alleging that I was plagiarizing and had poached an employee from another person in my industry. I texted her requesting that she does not defame my business online, and if she believes I am plagiarizing, to please report me. She denied that those were her posts despite evidence from her account showing it was her account. After some back and forth, I blocked her as I began to feel unsafe. Can you feel my eyes rolling? Because holy now, this text conversation is from April 21st, and it's a screenshot of Reddit comments. And it says, it's heartbreaking to me that we would go from friends to you thinking I would participate in plagiarism. And none of these accounts say like that it is Christina. I personally don't know Christina's username, but it's anonymous accounts. So like it's just burner accounts. So I'm not really sure why she thinks it is her. It's pretty interesting. But she goes further saying that she stands up for people. She, all that. I don't know if she's using M dashes or if she used ChatGPT to write this, which is an interesting move. And Christina responded. And if you want to read the full text, just go ahead and pause the video. But Christina responded and said, wait, are you saying I'm one of the people who commented on that thread? Because I wasn't. If something I say gets twisted or misrepresented, that's frustrating, but it doesn't give you the right to put words in my mouth or assume the worst of me. And while I've talked about my situation with you to others, no one you know personally, let's not pretend the talking hasn't gone both ways. Honestly, it's hard to hear all of this from you, knowing some of the things you've said about me that have made their way back. I've chosen not to throw that in your face. Anything I've said about you, I've either said it to your face or would be willing to. Love that energy for sure. And she says, this feels like a deflection. I'm not referring to gossip, nor have I suggested that you haven't been hurt. I'm referring to posting falsehoods about me and my business on a public forum. And no matter how hurt you are, this is unnecessary. If someone else wrote those words, then it's someone with access to your account. And you and I both know if those words are coming from your Reddit account, they are attached to you. And Christina responded and said, I didn't post on that Reddit thread, full stop. No one has access to my account. I don't appreciate the insinuation or accusation. It's not the first time you've assumed the worst of me, and I'm done defending myself for things that I didn't do. I'm also not deflecting and pointing out the bigger picture. You're entitled to your feelings, and so am I. Won't keep engaging in this conversation where I'm being accused and talked down to or treated like I'm the only one responsible for how things fell apart. And then it's super long. Now, this is an aspect of this that is pretty weird. So this is number 22. And this says, the first TikTok about me posted on her personal page and later on her targeted page, which is just a different account that she has, is her telling her friends that I wanted to use my brother's sperm with an egg donor so that I or a surrogate could carry his baby. Hold on. We'll get there. Hold on. And then number 23, my brother passed away in March after being in a devastating ATV accident in 2023. So sad. Sorry to you and your family. And then it says, Christina telling her followers that I wanted to non-consensually collect my brother's sperm while he laid in a vegetative state, unable to walk, talk, or have any basic function without assistance to have a child with him. This led to a flurry of comments from people about me, including one about this being a form of R word, to which Christina responds, yeah, you may be right. She has since made multiple TikToks talking about this so-called R word, and she claims that I wanted to do that to my brother, which simply is untrue, completely malicious, and emotionally harmful.
So her brother got in an accident and he was in a coma. Okay, so he was brain dead in a coma. She said she wanted to get her brother's sperm extracted from.
Now, when you hear someone say a flurry of comments, you'd think more than 12, right? And hey, maybe, let's give her the benefit of the doubt here. Maybe there were more comments and more engagement on her other account, but I don't think that's true. So the wild part is that it seems like most of these comments, most of these comments were around the same time this was posted, and rather than, at the time of all of this coming out. So someone said, pretty sure that would be a form of R word. And Christina said, yeah, you may be right. And someone else said, if it was true, which it wasn't. Another person said, wait, where does R word part come into play in this scenario? And someone said, how would she get the sperm? I said, form of. And listen, I think what they were talking about or insinuating was like the lack of consent. And even if you do have consent, it seems weird. Like that just seems weird, Like, first of all, like, was he not married, or did he not have like a partner? Because if so, like, all right, if he like, and if y'all really wanted to have a child together, then okay, then, you know, I guess keep it going, or, you know, do that. And then the partner can carry whatever. Even if the partner can't carry, then all right, whatever, y'all can have a child together through a surrogate, whatever. But it's weird the way that like the sister phrased it, not the sister, pardon me. It's weird the way that Lauren phrased it in her live stream. And she was talking about, she's like, my brother was the best person ever, blah, blah, blah. And like, so it sounds like she's trying to like clone her brother. Listen, I know it's wild for me to be like, hey, that sounds like eugenics, but like, it sounded like she was trying to clone him, and I don't like that. Then again, that's not my family, so therefore it's none of my business. However, she's putting it out there, so it's, you know, does make someone's business. Either way though, like, yeah, does that whole situation suck? Obviously, yes. Did Christina maybe not misremember, but misinterpret the specifics of the situation? Yes. Is that still, even with the explanation, like the actual explanation that Lauren is describing, is it still weird? Just maybe like a little bit less weird? Yeah, in my opinion. Is it horrible for her family and brother and her to have to go through that? Absolutely, of course. That's awful. Super awful. But I think when someone was like, oh, I think that would be a form of R word, I do think that they were discussing the lack of consent, since it seemed as though Christina was under the impression that like he was in a vegetative state. Therefore, like could not communicate and could not give his consent, right? So that is my understanding of her understanding of the whole situation. Still, that's not cyber stalking. Does it hurt you to hear that and see that? Yes. Is 12 comments a flurry of comments? No. Were there like 6 comments at the time when you submitted this as evidence? Yeah. Do you need to grow a pair? Absolutely, in my opinion. Like, girl, how thin is your skin? I'm not gonna lie, this makes me feel a lot better about myself. Like, this is embarrassing. Okay, let's continue. On June 19th, per her declaration, she received word that things were going to go public and that people wanted my head on a platter. And then she called the police. Per her declaration, she called the police because once again, she was fearful for her safety. With such a vague threat, ma'am, have you ever heard of a hyperbole? Holy crap. Like, you are not Amelia Bedelia. You don't need to take everything so literally. This is insane. My God.
I know, but what's the case law? I want the case law, please. No, but I kind of want to now. Like, if she's kind of harassing me, so I feel like I kind of want to. But like, what's the law? What's
So I can do my due diligence, do some searching as well. So I didn't copy everything because we took, the sugar costs that we just don't know.
No, I can respect that. I can respect that.
Sometimes we need to
but
do a little bit of extra searching, things like that. So,
but I feel like to have a police officer telling me that, like, because to have a police officer telling me it's against the law to do that. I actually have several examples of her sending so many screenshots to me. From other people, so
that would be the victim.
Yes, so I could also inform that person that she would be the victim of this. Yeah. So, but my question is, like, I mean, obviously you don't know the case law off the top of your head. I have an officer calling me, spouting something is the law, and I want to know what, like, so I can wait a second for sure. Like, I know, like, I'm giving you grace here. Like, I get it. You don't have all the, like, I can't even remember my kids' names in a row at sometimes. Like, I can't even imagine remembering all the laws. So I can wait a second for sure, but I definitely am curious.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it.
All right. And then she continues and says, on July 12th, she began posting clips of my voice on her targeted social media accounts. The first clip was my voice was the part of the conversation that we had in the courthouse, despite the courthouse having a no recording policy. Okay, girl. In the video, she compared me to the infamous murderer Jodi Arias, and that has garnered over 33,000 views on TikTok. On July 13th, she posted a video with a photo of me, which is a well-known photo with a clown emoji over my face. Once again, trying to get people to identify who I am. Girl, that's not stalking. You're a public figure. Oh my God. This is wild. If that's bullying and if that's cyber stalking, like, add me to the docket, girl, because is that what I'm doing too? Like, grow up. I hate it. Okay, but this is my favorite one. Are you ready? You're not. You are not ready. I was on the phone with my researcher and we were going through all of these documents and I was like, girl, look at Exhibit 12. The one that's titled I comment. And I was like, all right, this is where it's going to escalate. This is where Christina is going to be like, I want to scoop her eyeballs out with melon ball scoopers. On July 14th, 2025, I was on an episode of Mormon Stories podcast and Christina wrote in the comments with eyeball emojis in an effort to let people know she was watching. Lauren, I'm gonna hold your hand when I ask this. Be so for real right now. This is insane. Oh my God. And then she goes further to detail out an email that the host of Mormon Stories podcast received with a link to the TikTok page. And it's like, girl, you don't know that was Christina. Like, you are showing such non-evidence and non-receipts right now. And this is delusional. And then she goes further to describe the incident at the restaurant in Boise. And Christina wasn't even there at that restaurant for that incident. So why is that included? And then Lauren goes on further to talk about her producer and how she has to like go see a psychiatrist and get on medication for anxiety. And it's like, girl, why? Like, you would think that if Christina was like calling her, emailing her, contacting her incessantly, and this harassment was continuous and consistent and just like unavoidable, that she would show that as evidence. But she hasn't. It's this person's making videos about me. This person posted a picture about me. And it's like, cool, well, you chose to be a public figure at this point. So you kind of got to get over it. All right. It sucks. Sure. Even if you're not a shitty person, there's going to, which I do believe that Lauren Matthias is at this point, but maybe just annoying. I don't know. But even if you're not a shitty person, even if you're generally likable, it doesn't matter. If you're a public figure, there's going to be someone who doesn't like you. Okay. And since it all seems very unserious and like a big joke, Christina kept going, right? And kept posting about all of this, even though there was, a temporary restraining order in place. And so Lauren did a second and third declaration. And mostly all of this is just, oh my God, it's insane, truly. For instance, there's this one and it says on the, what page is it? The third page of her third declaration. On a July 24th TikTok post, part of the respondents, Christina's caption read, "Let me tell you, if she would have met the ex-friend of mine who I made this account to expose, she would have clocked her in 2 seconds." And then she just keeps going to basically just describing TikTok videos, which is hilarious. And it says on August 8th, TikTok video, which she used my voice, she captioned the post, "Can we talk about her own actions and words though?" And then this one says she posted the same video on Instagram, and on August 9th, she captioned the post, "You can't make this ish up. Her words mixed with her own actions is wild." And then on August 29th, she made another post, TikTok and Instagram, where she shows photos of me, and part of it where she says in her own voice while showing photos of me, "Yeah, I'm sure I'm talking about this toxic person I met, knew for a year, blah, blah, blah." Additionally, she uses other people to promote her accounts. It's literally just detailing like her TikTok videos. And it's like, girl, that's not cyber stalking. So embarrassing. So on the 5th and 6th page of this declaration, it says, after being served with the protective order, the defendant then posted 3 videos I referred to in my second declaration. One of them, particularly the live video, which was posted on both platforms with the caption, "I have receipts," and the respondent continued to respond to comments made by others. One comment read, "Clap emoji." Please do it. It will be criminal for that XF to get away with the backhanded actions. The respondent commented back, "The hope you give," clap emoji ×2. Literally, clap emoji. Thank you. Lauren, are you not embarrassed? Like, this is so wild. So here are some thoughts that I have. Now, Lauren stated in her 9-hour live stream, did you forget that she did a 9-hour live stream? She stated in that 9-hour live stream that she was coming out with all of this and making it public so that like she could like take back her story. And she focused heavily on her child and how like it's really affecting him and his mental health and like her family's mental health. But the thing is that with her son or child, her young child, they shouldn't know anything about this unless you are letting them in on that. So that sounds like it's your fault. But also anything that would have to, do with your child in court, that would have been not public. So it doesn't really make sense. It seems like she made it more public than it would have been, even if it would have just gone through the courts and through that process. But she said that she was like backing out or dropping everything. But I think the reason why she was doing that was because she possibly realized that she didn't have a case, maybe, or maybe she's just delusional and does think that she had a case. But I personally don't think that she is that delusional. I don't know. I go back and forth. But the thing is that with harassment and cyber stalking and stuff like that, there's not a case for it or an argument for it, rather, or that a defendant wouldn't be held liable if the petitioner, in this case, Lauren, isn't like fearing, like in fear for like their life or business or safety and things like that. To give a good example, not a good example, but just an example of this, like I have a little bit of experience with this. Again, just a reminder, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a whatever. No, I'm just someone in this industry who understands a bit of it, right? And has personal experience with this. So for instance, there have been people who have made so many videos about me, so many posts about me all over the internet, right? Like I've said, you just have to block it out. Does it suck? Sure. Does it hurt your feelings sometimes? Of course, obviously. Yeah. You'd be lying if you said it didn't. But there's a certain point where it's like, okay, is this affecting like actually my reputation? No, in my case, at least. Is this affecting my money? Like, are there damages to my business, emotionally, to my reputation, financially, things like that, right? And typically the answer is no. Okay? Because these people are just screaming into the void and all that. So therefore, I wouldn't have a case or an argument for defamation, for libel. And then when it comes to harassment, I'm not scared of these people. I'm not in fear of my safety or anything like that, right? So I don't have an argument for harassment or cyber stalking or anything like that. They're just annoying. So I'm on like two sides here of it's like, okay, you're just extremely hypocritical and annoying, Lauren, and delusional. Or she's trying to build all this up and maybe didn't like that this person was talking shit about her on the internet or just simply sharing their story. And maybe she did want to have a better chance at shutting them up. And maybe she had to really make it seem like it was affecting her mental health. And like she was really scared and just include every little thing that she possibly could that seemed vague or ominous or could be taken as a threat, so that she could have things be like open to interpretation. But for the court of public opinion, maybe, but for like the actual courts, like with the capital C girlfriend, that's not how that works. Now you've just embarrassed yourself, and it's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. So really what it's giving is you can't talk about me, and people screaming about defamation and libel and bullying and all that. But from like random other public figures and YouTubers, okay, I can see that, or just random people on the internet. But when it comes to a creator that the niche of content, the genre of content that you're in deals with court filings and documents and this type of legal jargon constantly, and you're analyzing all of these things, yet you are calling this cyber stalking and you're calling this harassment when it's, in my opinion, clearly not. Like by definition, by definition, that's not what it is. And it just looks so hypocritical for her to say like, you can't talk about me. Well, you talk about people who aren't even public figures, people who have just been in very public situations, and that's your career. And then her saying, well, oh, I don't want this court case that I'm involved in to be like a spectacle, or for people to make content about it, or for people to monetize it. But that's quite literally what you do. And then also her saying that her anguish or her pain isn't like entertainment or shouldn't be like put out there. And it's like, well, okay, but that's literally what you do. That is black and white, cut and dry. That is what you do. So it really is just extremely hypocritical of her to try to put a stop to this, but then also try to frame it as, in my opinion, something that it's clearly not, and then try to blame and accuse other people of harassment, cyber stalking, and then accuse other content creators as if they are like exploiting her experience. This woman is Looney Tunes. After the 9-hour live stream, her and her husband then did another live stream that was like 3 hours long, defending everything that they said. And it's like, you two are crybabies. You two are made for each other and you're both embarrassing. Yikes.
An example of psychological essentialism is you take one of those messages out of context, meant to be private. You take one of those messages and then you develop a...
So this woman was in group chats where she's making fun of people, and the other people in the group chat say that they're going to share these text messages and show what a mean girl she is. And that's essentially that's essentially what she's trying to stop from happening here.
She won't stop until that harm is executed and complete. So if she burns the kingdom down, then she feels morally vindicated. Or if there's a death.
She just wants to expose you. First of all, you don't have a kingdom.
Utah Code specifies quite clearly.
Oh, listen, this is where he trashes the judge. This is interesting. Listen to this.
And
the judge continued it
and lessened the stalking injunction. And
because the judge continued it and lessened the stalking injunction. So the judge put a new provision in this temporary order that she had that she calls a stalking injunction. It's a temporary order. And it says that she's allowed to post on TikTok. She's allowed to do that stuff, just to be very clear.
So please, please, please let me know in the comments below what you think about her proof of, or her exhibits, her evidence of harassment and stalking. Because like I said, in my opinion, I think that she's being extremely hypocritical and partially delusional and embarrassing overall. So Lauren Matthias, get off the internet. Do everyone a favor, including yourself, and get off the internet. Just get it together is, I feel like, what you need to do. Get it together. Anyways, I saw a few other people that I really liked their commentary on this, so I will have that linked down below. One was a PR, like crisis management type person, and I really liked their take on it. And then another was a content creator who goes by Turtle Boy, and I've never seen his content prior to this, and it was really funny. So I will link that down below too. He has quite a lot of live streams about this. It's unhinged and hilarious. At one point, he like draws on insane eyebrows to imitate her, which is really funny.
To share private texts that are off record, where I'm discussing this case for years, that is going to re-victimize victims. Things that they should never hear going on behind the scenes.
Wait a minute. She's saying that screenshots of her text messages cannot be shared because it's going to affect victims. No, it's going to affect you.
She contacted my ex-contractor,
okay,
to learn about my past working relationships.
Oh no.
Stalking.
I
actually have many attorneys now. I have 4 attorneys now. We're not taking this lightly.
Did she just say she has 4 attorneys? Is that what she just said?
Free speech was a reason to not support the stalking injunction. And that I'm a public figure, even though public figures are often stalked. When 100% of the account's content targets a single individual, it cannot be characterized as public discourse. It is a harassment campaign. Why are we sending media requests to a civil stalking injunction true crime community? Really, anyone, small or big?
Maybe because this public figure with a very large platform who makes money off of exercising her First Amendment rights is actively trying to shut down the First Amendment and put people in jail for the crime of exposing what a shitty person she is. How about that?
Anyways, no bullying or harassment or anything like that. Listen, a reading here and there, go off, queen. I love it. All right. Some people are a little bit too sensitive for that. So know your audience. But I appreciate you. And if you are subscribed, please know that your butt looks so good. If you are not subscribed, please know that you are dead to me and that you're probably going to have ingrown hairs a little bit too close to your nipples. I don't know, man. That's weird. Kind of looks like a 3rd nipple or a 4th or a 5th. The good thing is that there's a cure, a treatment, a cure, a remedy, if you will, and that is subscribing to my YouTube channel. Also, if you're new, I do give like words of wisdom and little pep talks at the end, but then also threats. So sorry if you're new and you've made it this far, dear God. But yeah, your butt looks so good if you're subscribed. You are valuable. I'm proud of you for whatever you're doing, whatever you're working towards. Keep going, or else. And I will see you in my next video. Stay feral, stay spicy, all those things, and goodbye.